Salam, Phoenix Ramadan L. Jackson. I hope that that second video went through because it was over time. Anyway, we didn't mean for it to go over that time, but this is a very good conversation and I like it. Okay, so we're love on the grand scale, right? To enhance, to open that crown chakra, right? So we can get that that insight, right? To live above the belt, right? And what? Live and love more abundantly, right? Okay, so, and that great excitement, right? That stimulation. Okay, and have greater power, right? Power of love. The power of love, right? Okay, so, so when we say love on the grander scale produces what is the true love, okay? The highest love, the highest frequency. The strongest and the sharpest frequency, the sharpest signal, right? The most hertz, the most voltage, the most wattage. When you amplify your love magnetically, right? To open that pineal gland, right? To crack that in your head, because the pineal gland is said to be shaped like a pine cone, right? Which is, pine cone has nuts in it, right? So it's shaped like a nut, right? So you got to get that, you know, in the head, right? In the mind, right? That spiritual excitement, right? Okay, now where was I going to go with that? Where was I going to go? Okay, so we say, so in an overly sexed world, while it may burn a great many calories, this is barely enough high frequency, right? Doesn't open the crown chakra unless you're married. Then it contributes to still is holy. Love is still holy. Okay? So, it barely gives enough out, okay? Just, what do we say? Commercial love. May have great sex, right? In an overly sexed world, okay, where everything is sold, the market sold, sex sells, right? It may burn a great many calories, but it's barely enough frequency to spark a continuous flame, right? That's why some relationships, a difficulty with relationships, right? Okay, one is just feeling their commercially induced desire for lust, right? So the quality of love, and that's why we must question the quality of love or the quality of excitement, because when something feels good, we love it. The person loves it, right? They're loving it, right? The desire for more. So the quality of love or excitement or stimulation, okay, is the value of the experience. The intensity of it is the value of the experience when entangled with the external waves, right? And as we said, that's where I was, about the greater excitement when I forgot where I was going to go with that, so I'll move on. Anyway, so okay, so the quality of love is this excitement, right? And the stimulation is also, is the intensity, okay? And is the value of the experience. So when entangled with external waves, thus neural excitement is categorized, as we said. The value of the reward, okay? The reward would be the excitement, right? Or the height is the height of the is the reaction of the electromagnetic wave, right? From its resting state, okay? So that would be the value of one's investment, right? So if let's say if one's energy, magnetic energy is resting, let's say at a state of 5, right? Then it's amplified up to 10, right? That would be investing 5 to get up to, well, no, we won't go there. Yeah, the person will be investing 5 and then being induced by 5, right? Because they're getting a rise, okay, of excitement. So there has to be a rise internally, right? So I'm giving 5 and I'm getting 5. So now I'm at 10. The person would be at 10, right? They're getting an inducement of 5 and they're already at 5. So now that would elevate them to what? 10. Okay? So that will be the cost of their investment for participating in the excite or the induction. Okay? For the excitement. And then this excitement could be anything. Okay? It could be, it doesn't always, it's just, you know, an excitement based upon a commercial world or materialism or you know, let's say a commercial mentality, a commercialized mentality. Oh, okay, where all the values, one's values and ethics and integrity are based upon, let's say, a class system, a cultural class system, or and whatever values or ethics they may, you know, have within that very closed society. Let's say like the plutocratic society, where you know, the excitement comes from monopolizing and controlling others, right? Okay, and keeping others oppressed. Okay, the quest for physical power, okay, over others. Controlling others rather than self. Okay, the discipline of controlling self, which that is the only power man has, to control himself. He doesn't have the power to control others. Okay, so as we said, so the value of the greater reward is the height of that one's electromagnetic energy reacts. How you know how high, let's say, that energy rises and falls. Okay, from its resting state. That equals the value of the excitement, and consequently, as I said, the cost of the value or the cost of the energy that one invests. Okay. That's why sometimes when a person does something and then they feel like they wish they wouldn't have done it, because the excitement after that wore off and it left like a bitter, you know, residue, emotional or some type of residue to one aspect of their bodies. Okay, remember, as we said, there's a fire body, a water body, a respiratory body, and then the physical body. And some aspect of their bodies, okay, their cardinal bodies were adversely affected by the adverse stimulation. But consciously, okay, one part of their body thought, oh, this is a good excitement, but it didn't do nothing for the rest of the body. It left, you know, let's say, dangling participles, okay, throughout, you know, different aspects of the cardinal body, right? Okay. Now, so it's consequently the cost for investing, and some costs are adverse, right? That's what we were just talking about. Okay. So remember how challenging it will be to walk through the needle in the camel's eye. Okay, and in the Bible it talks about how difficult it would be for I think a sinful person to walk through the needle of the camel's eye. Okay, that would be the challenge of opening the pineal gland. The pineal gland is the door to the spiritual realm above the carnivore belt. Okay, which the Sphinx or the Sagittarius, which we're in, represents. Okay, man and beast. Excuse me, his body is beast, his head is of man, right? Because that will be the lower consciousness, the micro consciousness versus the intellect. The difference between the two intellects would be the difference between man and animal as represented by the Sagittarius being, as I said, the head of the man and the body of a man, of an animal, right? And then same thing with the Sphinx. It's the head of a man, or some say a woman, and a female, and then the body of a lion, right? Signifying below the cardinal belt, and the difference between above the cardinal belt. Okay, the cardinal belt meaning that motions, again, breathing, prayer, meditation, and the physical body. Okay, rising above those and being in control of those aspects within oneself, not being in control of everybody else's cardinal bodies. Okay, because only Allah, God, can control everybody's body, because it is His. We are in the body, in His, and our bodies are in His world. Okay, and so therefore we can't control the external world. We can only control ourselves. Okay, discipline ourselves using the knowledge of the sages, right? So, thus man has not began to live until he or she has cracked that nut above the belt, and by not doing so reflects the fact that he or she is purely beast and unevolved, right? Above its cardinal consciousness. And, man has not been, that's what we said, man has not been given power over the beast and the fields of the earth, okay? So if he's not living in his right integrity, right, of having control of his physical body, or let's say of his, of his bodies, right, then how can he control the beast of the world when he's a beast himself, right? And that's how we're supposed to evolve, right? To open that crown chakra, right? And to teach children to open how to open their crown chakra, right? Now, so if one is still cracking that nut in their pants or in their body, okay, below the belt, it's equivalent to a child, okay, uncontrollably dumping in his pants, unable to control his bowel, especially if he is not, or she is not married, right? Because marriage is holy, right? So when the interaction between two married couples, okay, a married couple, is still holy because it's sanctified below the belt interaction or intercourse, right? Now, so, okay, now we said unless he's married. Okay, the cracking of the nut below the belt is sanctified and holy and worthy of micropineal gland amplified voltage. Thus marriage and the act of marriage is sacred and intercourse is holy, and only a commercially unwise, only the commercially unwise care nothing about holiness, right? And the crown pineal chakra, or the opening of the third eye, right? To being able to make those decisions that are best for one, okay? Those holy decisions, okay? And that's what people are still being led by, right? Is led by these plutocrats, because they somehow think, because they're following, we talked about that before, they think before how they're somehow, following the celestial planets, right? That they are worthy of leading because nobody's paying attention to what's going on what the magnum opus, right? They're not following the stars because what it said that God sends messages through the stars, right? And I believe He does through the celestial planets, right? But they say they're the ones who's following those messages, right? But the thing is, the Quran has good spiritual guidance. The Bible has good spiritual guidance. The Torah has good spiritual guidance, right? As do others, right? So just applying those spiritual knowledge, that spiritual knowledge, right, is a means of disciplining the soul, right? Whereby that energy would be channeled through the chakra to open the chakra, right? And spiritual enlightenment and what ascendant mastery takes place, right? Because now we're into awareness. Okay, now, so where are we at? Now, while some may try and like as many as tits and ass as they are, okay, as if they are at a Black Friday sale, okay, grabbing as much as they can in that short hours, in those short hours right after giving thanks. Thus, some opt for, this is an opt for what? Cheap thrills, okay? Rather than those which, those thrills which may require more regimented discipline, or a more regimented disciplined life of self-sacrifice and spiritual lessons. Okay, above belt lessons. For above belt excitement, above belt voltage, above belt wattage, above belt amps, above belt lamps. Therefore the lamp is on, right? Gotta have electricity to turn that lamp on in the mind, right? It needs voltage. Not gonna come on if there's no wattage there, right? Can't power a house if there's no electricity, right? Okay, it's gonna be in darkness, right? The house is gonna be in darkness. That mind is in darkness if the lamp's not on, right? No evolution of the mind, right? No actualization, no transcending, no surpassing the physical consciousness if the light's not on, right? The third eye's not open, the oil's not burning bright, right? Okay, so, okay. Now, so based on the weak illuminating power or firepower, okay, what do we say? Weak thrills deliver weak firepower, and thus the excitement is short-lived. Kind of like fossil fuel, living on fossil fuel, right? And it rapidly requires recharge, okay? The excitement has to be, constantly recharged, okay? Because it's just a spark of stimulation, of excitement, right? And we do need excitement, right? We do need constant excitement. And if a person is, and like today, many relationships are short-lived, right? And so that leaves them alone, right? And in a relationship, there's excitement, okay? Yeah, there is. But if the person is alone and all they derive is excitement from a relationship, and as we today, many relationships aren't as bonding as they were in the past, right? So there needs to be another form of excitement besides the relationship becoming excited based upon being in a relationship, right? So the person, when they're by themselves, they still need to have some form of excitement, because without excitement, what's the opposite of that, right? Yeah. So life has to have some excitement in it, right? There has to be some excitement for life. That's part of the motivation for life, right? Is it has to be for it to be exciting, stimulating. Interesting, right? So to have that excitement above the belt is the greater excitement, the higher love, okay? And then that's the self-love as well, right? And then once you get that self-love, it's like you're not gonna settle for less, okay? Then preserving a lifestyle, a virgin lifestyle that preserves the your excitement, right? Or the higher consciousness, okay? Because just as one receives that higher consciousness, if they begin to drop and live below the belt, then their wave is going to drop, right? And they don't want their wave to get grounded, right? Now, so the firepower is short-lived, right? And it needs often with cheap thrills. It needs or below belt cheap thrills, because above the belt is cheap thrills too. Okay, it's cheap. They're cheap thrills, but the return is what's the difference, right? The major difference. Now, so it says okay. Now, so. Casual sex is an example of cheap thrill, or yeah. While love is a constant flow of biochemical excitement or voltage, sex leaves spiritual or negative pollution, emotional pollution, because just wish you wouldn't have done that, right? Dare he just, he or she just leave like that, or feels used, right? I feel exploited, so there's negative emotional pollution left behind, right? And of course, negative emotional pollution in the water body, right? Putting out the fire, right? Putting out the excitement, right? And then moves in what? That D word, not to mention either, okay? And you know the one I'm talking about. That comes with long-term waiting in the water, okay? Putting out the voltage, okay? Or love, that's love below the belt, right? Commercial love. So it leaves behind the spiritual and emotional pollution, because now it's on the solar energy too, because it's spiritually not right either, right? And the Bible tells us so, and the Quran tells us so, the Torah tells us so, and other religions, spiritualities tell us so, right? To put that oil back into the head, right? To the mind, okay? So it leaves negative pollution behind. The frequency, and it also makes the frequency vibrate slower. So now it's poorly transmitting, and it can't think right anymore. Just can't think right? Not can't think anymore, okay? Just can't think as fast, barely get out of bed, right? Don't feel like going anywhere, don't feel like doing anything, okay? And sometimes the signals can fail, right? Just, because what? The frequency drops, okay? So, now it's weak and limber and no energy, and just can't think straight, it's just not the same, right? Okay, just don't feel the same. Mind just doesn't work the same. The confusion, right? Because now what's happening is what? It's creating clutter around the signal, around the antenna. So now there's spiritual clutter, emotional clutter, baggage, okay? It's being created, and it's becoming lethargic, right? And just can't lift that heavy weight, that little light of yours. Just can't lift that heavy darkness, that heavy weight, that heavy body that's becoming like mud, right? Because you only address the physical body, right? And then there needs a lot of energy to lift that spiritual body. And we're going to go to video 3. Okay, video 3.